There is a voice, quiet, constant, and true, whispering from within. It does not shout. It does not beg for your attention. It waits patiently. For the moment you put the pen down, take your hands off the wheel, and finally become still enough to hear it. This voice speaks your future. This voice already sees you victorious. It does not tell you to try. It tells you to know. Every time you sit in silence and listen to the inner assurance that says you already have it, you move mountains. Every time you resist the urge to chase and instead align inwardly, you rewrite the world without lifting a finger. People will ask, how did you do it? And you will smile, because you didn't. You listened. And listening became your power. Imagination speaks, but not to the one who is busy, frantic, or doubting. It speaks to the one who closes their eyes and listens in faith. Not for proof, not for permission, but for the knowing that it is done. When you listen, you win. Because in the stillness you become the one who already has it. You hear yourself as wealthy. You hear yourself as loved. You hear yourself as healed, whole, successful. And what you hear, inwardly and consistently, must show itself outwardly. So today, let the world spin, let others chase. You sit quietly, listen carefully, and possess completely. Don't move, don't write, just listen and win. True creation begins in stillness. It is not in motion, not in force, not in striving that the deepest transformations occur, but in the silence between thoughts, in the sacred stillness of being. This world, as you know it, is merely a reflection, a mirror casting back the state of your inner world. And yet, few ever stop long enough to see this truth. They rush, they plan, they push. But the secret, the true alchemy of life, is stillness. You are not here to force outcomes, but to realize them. And realization does not come by movement. It arrives in quiet, when the noise fades and the mind sinks back into its source. You cannot hear the music of your destiny when your soul is filled with noise. You cannot feel the movement of spirit when your hands are too busy trying to control every detail. But when you become still, deeply, deliberately still, something miraculous begins to stir. You begin to remember. You remember that you were never meant to chase. You were meant to become. Stillness is not passivity. It is not weakness. It is power restrained, awareness uncluttered, presence untouched by the distractions of the world. It is in this stillness that imagination becomes clear, that the inner voice is heard, and that the invisible world begins to shape the visible. The moment you close your eyes and turn away from the five senses, you return to the secret place, the origin of all that appears real. And there, in that silent inner world, you find that creation does not require effort, only awareness. Everything you desire, the love, the wealth, the healing, the success, it already exists, but it exists in the unseen. To touch it, to claim it, you must become still enough to see it in your mind and feel it in your soul. This is the great truth. You cannot attract what you have not first become in spirit. And becoming is not achieved through action, but through surrender. Surrender to the silence, to the knowing that what is truly yours is already yours. Many fear stillness because it reveals what is really there. In movement, you can avoid yourself. In action, you can pretend. But in stillness, there is nowhere to run. You come face to face with your own beliefs, your assumptions, your fears. But do not be afraid. It is only in facing them that you can dissolve them. And once they are gone, you are left with truth. The truth that you are not separate from what you seek. You are it. Creation is finished. You are not here to create in the way the world teaches, by toil and hustle. You are here to select from the infinite states that already exist. Stillness is the doorway to that selection. It is in the still, quiet conviction of I am that all manifestations unfold. If you can hold the feeling of already having, Even for a few moments, in perfect stillness, you will move the heavens. Do not underestimate the power of sitting in silence. The world will tempt you to move, to speak, to do something, but the wise know better. The wise listen in stillness. They see without eyes. They feel without touch. And they change their world by changing within. You don't need to try harder. You need to stop long enough to remember who you are. The inner man, the one that shapes all, waits patiently in the silence. Go there, sit with him, and from that sacred place of stillness, watch as the world rearranges itself in your favor. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of knowing. And in that knowing, you are free. It is not what you write, nor what you say aloud that holds the true power to change your life. It is what you hear, quietly, consistently, and inwardly. This is the great mystery most overlook. The inner ear is the true gateway to creation. What you listen to within, you eventually embody. And what you embody, you express. The outer world is simply the echo of your inner hearing. Many speak words of faith while inwardly rehearsing doubt. They write affirmations but then fall asleep to the inner dialogue of fear. They speak of success but listen to the internal voice that tells them they are not enough. This contradiction is why so many remain stuck. The world responds not to what you say, but to what you inwardly accept as true. You become what you consistently hear in the silence of your being. When no one is watching, when the world is quiet, the voice within speaks. If you hear lack, if you hear rejection, if you hear fear, your life will shape itself accordingly. But if you hear abundance, if you hear worthiness, if you hear peace, then even without saying a word, your world will rise to meet that vibration. There is no deception in the inner ear. It reveals exactly where your fate lives. You may fool others with bold speech, but you cannot fool the law of consciousness. The voice you return to again and again in the still moments of the day, that is the voice creating your tomorrow. And you always have a choice to tune in to the voice of limitation or to the whisper of truth. This is why silence is sacred. It reveals what is truly at work within you, and once you are aware of what you're inwardly hearing, you have the power to change it. Not through force, but through gentle repetition. Through choosing again and again to listen to the voice that tells you all things are possible, you are worthy, you are already it. Your inner hearing is your true teacher. It guides you, corrects you, inspires you. It is not the loud voice of the world, but the quiet, unwavering tone of knowing. You cannot hear it when your mind is busy. You cannot access it when you are rushing. But when you sit in stillness and close the outer ear, the inner ear opens wide. And what you hear there, in that secret chamber of the soul, is what you will live. All transformation begins with a shift in what you inwardly listen to. If you wish to change your life, change what you hear. Stop giving energy to voices of criticism, of defeat, of fear. These are old recordings, and they are not you. Instead, tune in to the voice that already sees you as whole, successful, and free. It is there. It has always been there, waiting. Even now, in this moment, it speaks. Softly, calmly, confidently. You are more than enough. You are already chosen. Nothing is missing. Can you hear it? Can you quiet the noise long enough to truly listen? This is the secret. Inner hearing is the birthplace of outer transformation. What you hear, you become. And what you become, the world must reflect. So listen wisely, listen deliberately, and above all, listen with faith. Because in that quiet inner sound, the one only you can hear, lies the power to reshape your entire reality. Effort is the enemy of faith. The more you strive, the more you affirm that what you desire is not yet yours. And so the chase continues and fulfillment slips further from reach. But there is another way, a higher way, where you stop trying and start trusting. You do not push, you allow. You do not chase, you choose. You do not beg, you become. Faith does not require effort, it requires surrender. To trust is to know, not to hope with doubt behind your eyes, but to rest in the assurance that what you have imagined is already established in the unseen. This world is not changed by your force, it is changed by your assumption. When you stop trying to make something happen, and instead assume the state of the one for whom it has already happened, reality bends to reflect that change. Trying keeps you in the state of wanting. Trusting places you in the state of having. And what you have in consciousness will soon become visible in form. There is no need to strain. The universe does not respond to how hard you work. It responds to how deeply you believe. All creation begins with inner conviction, not outer effort. This is the invitation. Step out of the chase, step into the knowing. You do not need to keep proving yourself. You do not need to keep asking. You only need to receive. And receiving requires stillness. It requires listening. It requires alignment with what already exists within you. Because all things truly are within. They are not outside waiting to be won. They are inside waiting to be accepted. To stop trying does not mean to do nothing. It means to stop the inner struggle. It means to lay down the weapons of fear and control and to walk boldly into the identity that matches your desire. The moment you say within yourself, I am already this, the world begins to move in harmony with your new belief. But as long as you continue to chase the thing, you declare its absence. And what you declare, you create. Let go of the need to force. Drop the habit of questioning how and when. These are the burdens of the doubter. You are not here to carry them. You are here to dwell in the state of already being. You are here to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and to rest in that feeling as if it were the only truth. Trust is not blind. It sees clearly. It sees through appearances and holds fast to the unseen reality. Trust knows that the seed already planted will bloom, even before a single leaf appears. Trust does not dig up the soil every day to check. It waters, it waits, it believes. When you stop trying, the noise quiets, the resistance melts, and something far greater begins to work through you. You are no longer the one making it happen. You become the one for whom it is happening. This is the shift. This is the key. So don't move. Don't strive. Don't exhaust yourself in pursuit. Close your eyes. Go within. Feel the joy of already being it. Let that be your only effort. The gentle effort of inner alignment. Because the truth is simple. You do not get what you chase, you get what you are. And to become it, you must trust it. Trust the process. Trust the voice within. Trust the power that has never failed and never will. Stop trying, start trusting, and watch the world give you what was already yours. Every word you hear within yourself is a seed. It may seem small, silent, and invisible, but it carries within it the full potential of a new world. When you listen in silence, when you allow yourself to hear without resistance, you are not merely daydreaming or escaping. You are planting. You are sowing thoughts into the deep, unseen soil of consciousness. And that soil is always fertile. It does not question. It does not resist. It simply receives and brings forth after its kind. There is no wasted word in the inner world. Every phrase, every idea, every whispered belief that you accept and repeat within yourself takes root. Some grow quickly. Some lie dormant until watered with repetition. But they all grow. Not by your labor, not by your striving, but by your faith in their reality. You see, consciousness is not passive. It is alive. It is the creative force that shapes your outer world from your inner assumptions. The moment you allow a new idea to settle within, truly settle, without doubt or contradiction, you have activated a seed. And like all seeds, it does not need you to constantly check on it. It needs you to trust. This is why silence is powerful, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is. It is in silence that you finally stop scattering your energy. You stop pushing, reacting, and resisting. You become still, and in that stillness your true desires rise to the surface. And when you hear them clearly, inwardly, without noise, you begin to plant with intention. It is not the loud outer voice that creates. It is the still inner one. That voice that says, I am well, I am whole, I am already what I desire to be. These are not just affirmations. They are seeds. And when repeated in the quiet chambers of the soul, they begin to reshape everything around you. But you must be mindful of what you are planting. For the inner world does not distinguish between good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It simply accepts what you repeatedly say and feel. If you say, nothing ever works for me, that too is a seed, and it will grow. If you say, I'm always lucky, that also is a seed, and it too will bear fruit. The soil of consciousness is not partial, it yields to the soil. So listen carefully, speak carefully, think carefully, because each word is a creative act. Each inner statement is a blueprint, and over time, what you have planted will rise, not suddenly, not all at once, but surely that is the nature of the seed. You do not need to shout it, you do not need to force it. Whisper it in faith. Let it settle, let it take root. Then live your life in quiet expectancy, knowing the harvest will arrive. This is the secret of all transformation. It begins not with action, but with attention. Attention to what you are saying within yourself. When you sit in silence and hear the truth of who you are, not the noise of the world, but the truth, you are doing more than imagining, you are creating. You are directing the future by what you believe in the present. And belief is not shown by outer declarations. It is revealed by the still, persistent inner voice. So guard your inner speech. Nourish it. Let your words within be soft, sure, and aligned with the life you wish to live. Because whether you recognize it or not, you are always planting. Every word is a seed. Every silence is an opportunity. And the more you listen in faith, the more your life becomes a garden of everything you once only imagined. Imagination is always speaking. It whispers softly beneath the noise of daily life, beneath the obligations, the fears, the questions, the constant need to make things happen. It does not shout. It does not argue. It speaks in images, in feelings, in subtle nudges that pull you toward your deepest truth. But the question is not whether it speaks. The question is, are you listening? You were never meant to control the how. That burden was never yours. Life does not respond to control, it responds to alignment. And alignment begins with surrender. Your task is not to orchestrate every step or figure out every detail. Your task is to listen, to feel, to trust what rises within, not from logic, but from that deeper place where the true self lives. The place where all creation begins. Close your eyes and tune in, not to the outer world where noise rules and opinions shift like wind. Tune in to the inner world, where your imagination has already painted the life you long for. That vision, the one that seems too big, too bold, too far away, is not fantasy, it is guidance. It is instruction from a higher realm of yourself. It does not tease you, it reveals you. It shows you who you really are and what already belongs to you. But to hear it, you must be still. You must let go of the anxious need to make something happen. You must quiet the voice that says, I must do more, try harder, figure it all out. That voice is not the truth. That voice is fear. And fear cannot guide you into the life you were born to live. Only imagination can do that. Only the inner voice, the one that speaks in knowing, not panic, can lead you into your real destiny. Imagination does not speak in chaos. It speaks in clarity. When you feel peace, when you feel certainty rising from within you, that is the sign, that is the inner language that says, this is yours, walk in it. You don't have to earn it. You only have to allow it. The victory is not something you must achieve, it is something you must recognize. Your imagined victory is the seed of a future already planted. The moment you see it in your mind, you have touched the eternal. You have glimpsed the unseen reality that wants to unfold through you, but instead of chasing it, you must embody it. You must feel it now, as if it were already done. That is how you listen. That is how you receive. The imagination is your inner compass. It is always pointing to the truth of what is possible. Not according to the world's standards or limitations, but according to your own divine design. Every time you close your eyes and dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not escaping life, you are commanding it. You are instructing the unseen to arrange itself around your new assumption. This is not wishful thinking. This is the deepest form of listening. It is the art of hearing what the world cannot yet see and responding to it with trust. You don't need proof. You only need presence. Presence in the state, presence in the vision, presence in the knowing that what is seen in imagination is more real than what is seen in form. So stop fighting, stop planning every move, stop questioning the timing. Sit quietly, feel the outcome, hear it in your spirit. The voice of your imagination is your victory speaking. Let it rise, let it live through you, because the more you listen, the more you align. And when you align, there is nothing to chase, only everything to receive. You win not by force, not by effort, not by striving, but by becoming. And the becoming happens first in silence. It begins within, where no one sees, where no applause echoes and no opinions can sway. In that stillness, you are not trying to get something, you are remembering who you are. You are aligning with the identity that already possesses the thing you seek. Manifestation is not the result of activity, it is the result of identity. You do not receive what you want, you receive who you are. And who you are is determined by what you accept as true in the quiet of your own mind. The inner conversation, the inner assumption, the inner feeling, that is the birthplace of all outward change. To become is to win, not outwardly, not for show, but inwardly, where it matters most. That is where the seed is planted. That is where the world begins to reshape itself around you. When you sit in silence and accept the truth of your desired state, you begin to live from it. And once you live from it, the world cannot help but reflect it. This is why silence is sacred. Because in silence, the noise of limitation dies. The stories you've repeated to yourself of lack, of doubt, of fear, begin to dissolve. And in their place, you hear something deeper. You hear the voice of truth, the still and powerful knowing that you already are what you desire to be. Not someday, not maybe, now. You don't need to speak it out loud. You don't need to convince anyone. You only need to feel it as real. That feeling, repeated, becomes a state, and that state becomes your identity. Once it becomes your identity, the external world bends to meet it. It must, because the world is not separate from you. It is a mirror, a divine echo of your innermost assumptions. The outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner man. And the inner man is shaped by what he listens to in silence. So the question is not, what should I do? The question is, who am I becoming within? Are you still holding on to the identity of the one who lacks, who doubts, who hopes but does not know? Or have you dared to assume a higher self? One who is already chosen, already favored, already victorious. This is not about pretending, it's about embodying. And embodiment begins before movement. It begins in that sacred space where you close your eyes and dwell in the feeling of already being, already having, already living from the place you once only dreamed of. The mind does not argue with identity, it simply follows it. If you believe you are, then you are. If you persist in that belief, quietly, faithfully, without rushing, then the world will match your self-concept. The doors will open, the people will show up, the path will reveal itself, not because you chased it, but because you became it. Silence is not empty, it is full of power. In silence, you are not doing less, you are doing what matters most. You are planting the image, you are claiming the identity, you are choosing to be before anything appears. That is the secret, that is the key. So stop striving, stop waiting for the outside to change before you allow yourself to believe. Change first. In your imagination, in your assumption, in your quiet personal truth. The rest is inevitable. You win by becoming it first, in silence, and then watching as the world rushes to agree. So now you understand. You were never meant to force, chase, or plead. Your real power has always lived in your stillness. It is in the quiet where identity is shaped, where imagination speaks, and where your entire world begins to take form. You win not by pushing, but by surrendering to the truth already within you. You don't move, don't write, don't beg. You listen, you become, and you receive. Let the world shout, let the mind race, but you remain still, because you now know the secret. Manifestation is not about doing more, it is about becoming more inwardly aligned with the self that already has it. Every vision, every desire, every whispered dream, it is already yours. Your only task is to believe it deeply enough that the world has no choice but to mirror it back to you. Thank you for listening.